Coming up on 5 Minute News. US House passes protective same-sex marriage bill. Georgia fake electors may face charges in election probe. And major nations lag behind on climate fighting goals. It's Wednesday, July 20. I'm Anthony Davis. The US House of Representatives overwhelmingly approved legislation on Tuesday to protect same-sex and interracial marriages amid concerns that the Supreme Court ruling overturning Roe v. Wade abortion access could jeopardize other rights criticized by many conservatives. In a robust but lopsided debate, Democrats argued intensely and often personally in favor of enshrining marriage equality in federal law, while Republicans steered clear of openly rejecting gay marriage. Instead, leading Republicans portrayed the bill as unnecessary amid other issues facing the nation. Tuesday's election year roll call, 267 to 157, was partly political strategy, forcing all House members, Republicans and Democrats, to go on the record. It also reflected the legislative branch pushing back against an aggressive court that has raised questions about revisiting other, apparently settled US laws. Wary of political fallout, GOP leaders did not press their members to hold the party line against the bill, aides said. In all, 47 Republicans joined all Democrats in voting for passage. While the Respect for Marriage Act easily passed the House with a Democratic majority, it is likely to stall in the evenly split Senate, where most Republicans would probably join a filibuster to block it. The Georgia prosecutor, who's investigating whether former President Donald Trump and others illegally interfered in the 2020 general election in the state, has informed 16 Republicans who served as fake electors that they could face criminal charges. They all signed a certificate declaring falsely that then-President Trump had won the 2020 presidential election and declaring themselves the state's duly elected and qualified electors, even though Joe Biden had won the state and a slate of Democratic electors was certified. 11 of them filed a motion yesterday to quash their subpoenas, calling them unreasonable and oppressive. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis last year opened a criminal investigation into attempts to influence the administration of the 2020 Georgia general election. A special grand jury with subpoena power was seated in May at her request. In court filings earlier this month, she alleged a multi-state coordinated plan by the Trump campaign to influence the results of the November 2020 election in Georgia and elsewhere. For most of the major carbon-polluting nations, promising to fight climate change is a lot easier than actually doing it. In the United States, President Joe Biden has learned that the hard way. Among the 10 biggest carbon emitters, only the European Union has enacted policies close to or consistent with international goals of limiting warming to just a few more tenths of a degree, according to scientists and experts who track climate action in countries. But Europe, which is broiling through a record-smashing heat wave and hosting climate talks this week, also faces a short-term winter energy crunch, which could cause the continent to backtrack and push other nations into longer, dirtier energy deals, experts said. It's a grim outlook, said climate scientist Bill Hare, CEO of Climate Analytics. His group joined with the New Climate Institute to create the Climate Action Tracker, which analyzes nations' climate targets and policies compared to the goals of the 2015 Paris Agreement. The tracker describes as insufficient the policies and actions of the world's two top carbon polluters, China and the US, as well as Japan, Saudi Arabia and Indonesia. It calls Russia and South Korea's policies highly insufficient, and Iran comes in as critically insufficient. Hare says number 3 emitter, India, remains an enigma. Meanwhile, in the U.S. Congress, specifically key Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia is balking on President Biden's climate-fighting legislation, and the Supreme Court recently curbed power plant regulations. Declaration of a climate emergency would be similar to one issued by former President Donald Trump to boost construction of his southern border wall. A climate emergency would allow Biden to redirect spending to accelerate renewable energy such as wind and solar power and speed the nation's transition away from fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas. The focus on climate action comes amid a heat wave that has seared swathes of Europe, with Britain reaching the highest temperature ever registered in a country ill-prepared for such weather extremes. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.